and Adarsh. Guys, welcome aboard. We're gonna have this discussion is gonna be fun. Okay, so we would request you to be as honest, as genuine as you can be. Nobody is gonna take offense. We're gonna ask you some questions. We will request you to answer all questions and do not pass the questions, even if we put you on the spot. Uh, just be natural, but just be honest and be respectful as well. This is not a Arnab Goswami, so please be respectful as well. So my first question, let's say, goes to Aaron. Aaron, thank you. You're representing Mumbai. Aaron, do you think Mumbai lawyers make more money than Delhi lawyers?
Uh, Depends on which field of law you're speaking about. Law is wide. Delhi is known as continues to be the center and the hub of litigation in India, with the Supreme Court in Delhi. The Delhi litigators, if I had to start my career all over again 25 years back, I'd start off as a litigator in the Delhi courts, because they certainly make a lot of money. Mumbai, when it comes to non-litigation, Mumbai has been for many years now the door to investment into India. And for that reason, I think the Mumbai firms have had a head start in setting up practices comparable to the best of the practices globally, and have been benchmarking themselves against the best of the international firms when it comes to work quality and also when it comes to billing. So when it comes to the non-litigation firms, I do feel that the Mumbai firms are able to charge a bit higher. But just to take it a step further, I think Mumbai, I mean, there are many law firms doing corporate law. There are many lawyers doing finance. There are many lawyers doing data protection, intellectual property. Delhi is more niche. Delhi gets the best of the lawyers, the cream of the profession. They make the jump to the Supreme Court. And for that reason, I feel when it comes to Delhi lawyers are able to command their price, especially the lawyers at the Supreme Court. In Mumbai, it is a bit more competitive. Law firms are competing with each other, so that keeps the prices in moderation. When it comes to non-specialist areas, so it's a bit of a mix of both, I would say. And in the end, I mean, the lawyer needs to command his fee.
Absolutely correct. Thank you so much, Aaron, for that. Shaurya, you represent Delhi. Give me one reason why would you move to Mumbai?
So if that is the thing, and that's the question, I won't move to Mumbai. I'm loving Delhi. A North Indian would like to be a North Indian only. And I'm a corporate guy, don't do much of litigation except the strategization. But Delhi is the constitutional capital, and I love that fact. We have the Supreme Court, we have the Parliament, we have the RBI here. So most of the practice areas, and because of the Delhi NCR area, the Noida and Gurgaon, it's an upcoming market, and obviously in terms of the finance as well, financial practice as well, we would match up Mumbai. But of course, Mumbai has SEBI, Bollywood, and coastal area as well. So that's a different thing altogether. But to your question, I would definitely to be in Delhi only.
Mm-hmm. So, Anubhav Kapoor, the next question is for you. You know what? I have heard about extramarital affairs, and you are director of legal affairs in Ford. So, why do we have legal affairs in Ford Motor Company? What's the affair in legal?
I can't comment on why it is legal affairs in Ford, but obviously I was always trained to be a lawyer. So obviously I will be dealing more with legal. Now, as I too have been in touch with corporate for since the beginning, we've never been in a court practicing lawyer. So obviously the affair with legal has been now over 30 years, and it has been quite romantic with all its ups and downs. So I think that is probably the genesis of why now at this point the legal affairs become much more important and much more sought after.
Thank you for that. Jenna, you run a fabulous daily lawyer platform where you are hosting podcasts for information for lawyers, entrepreneurs, for jobs. So you're basically dissemination information through your podcast and channel, right?
Yes.
Why? So are you not afraid of Supreme Court that you can't be advertising, you can't be promoting information like that?
But I'm not so sorry. First, I want to say hi to everyone.
Hi.
Um, no, I'm not afraid because honestly, I'm not advertising. I'm just giving information for free. Whoever and also I'm interviewing lawyers like yourselves so that people know that we have so many specializations within the law, and people through this podcast also will know that we are very passionate about our own cities. I'm a Bombay girl through and through. So that is the whole. I'm not. It's not an advertising platform or a soliciting platform or anything like that. It's just for all of us to come together and tell the public that we are not Damini slogan shouting lawyers in the court, and neither are we those smart clothes office romancing lawyers in suits. We are somewhere in between, and nobody really knows that. With an LLB degree, we are required to advise on everything from matrimonial to maritime to mergers to everything, to cooperative housing societies. And if you don't say anything, they're like, "Aapko malum nahi hai? Aap to lawyer ho." So I think that's what I want to do through the TDL platform, just to demystify not just the law, but also our profession for everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jana. Now, Shruvita, you have worked in Delhi, you worked in Mumbai. Uh, what's the culture difference between Delhi and Mumbai as far as law firms are concerned, lawyers' profession is concerned, the culture between Delhi and Mumbai?
Right. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thrilled to be speaking with such great people here. So, yes, Amit, like you've mentioned, I've worked in both cities, and I've had a great experience at both places. I feel where Delhi was maybe slightly a notch better was I felt it was a little more inclusive in terms of different cultures, right? I feel it's more metro in that sense. There is less of cultural division. Without naming one of the firms that I was in, at times a lot of discussions involuntarily happened in Marathi, not out of disrespect, but because everybody just had the hang of language. So they would end up having these heated discussions, and it probably came naturally to them. And then very kindly, they would translate it to me. But it's just one small thing right there, right? So, yeah. And I also feel that Delhi and NCR as a city is much more affordable for a young lawyer as compared to Mumbai. So, and the salary is unfortunately not reflective of that. Salaries are pretty much on the same platform for, like, say, a starter or a fresher. So that is again one way where it makes it easier for like a youngster to make it in Delhi. It's more inclusive, it's more affordable. Again, not taking anything away from Mumbai, great experience there too. So yeah, that's my take on it.
I was expecting something controversial from you. You disappointed me.
No, I
CJ,
did give you some controversial stuff.
thank you so much for that. CJ, you know what? You have your own practice from about 15, 16 years. You also are a lecturer in MET. What's your perspective about young lawyers in Mumbai and versus young lawyers in Delhi? What's your take?
Uh, During my beginning days onwards, I had the opportunity of appearing in courts other than Mumbai. I have appeared in Delhi, I have appeared in Calcutta, then I have been to Bangalore, Bijapur, and Ernakulam High Court also. And what I find is that the youngsters who get opportunities in Mumbai, the youngsters in other parts of the country do not get opportunities. From our internship days itself, our seniors used to send us to the court to stand in the witness box and ask the matter to be kept back. Our seniors used to allow us to talk to the clients, to sit with them during discussions. But when I interact with the my counterparts, I used to interact with my counterparts in those states. I used to find that these people never used to get the kind of exposure which I used to get as an intern or as a junior from my seniors. So that's a big difference. Now, Aaron said that Bombay lawyers are making more money, but we are making more efforts too. We work more than any other lawyers in the country. So that's my perspective.
Wonderful, wonderful. Coming to others, आपने पहले engineering किया, then did your MBA, then did your law from NLU on business law, and now you're resolving disputes in construction and engineering. When you're resolving disputes between construction engineering firms, construction engineering related disputes, I'm sure you meet people from Mumbai and from Delhi as well. So what's your take on the aggression that lawyers carry in Delhi versus the aggression lawyers carry in Mumbai?
Right. So first of all, I would like to thank all of you, and a special thanks to Mr. Navneet, who has given us some initiative to such a hot topic and very interesting topic, and Madhura, who has initiated for this initiative. So as far as you correctly said that I am not taking participate in the litigation side. Mostly I do participate in the arbitration, which is a construction dispute arbitration. So my entire experience is hovering around the arbitration, although I am aware about the litigation things. As far as aggression is concerned, of course, in arbitration, I have appeared before the tribunal where the counsel has asked questions during the cross-examination. And it is all about individual styles. Who is asking the questions to you? So in that area, I have found both the side on an equal footing. Like I have experienced who have done arbitration in the Mumbai side as well as Delhi side. As far as expert witness, expert perspective, I believe given the solicitor barrister equation is still strong in Bombay side. Though I'm residing in Delhi, but I have equally experience in Bombay and Delhi both sides. And it does give some edge Bombay over the Delhi in a commercial arbitration. Of course, because all these big MNC headquarters in Mumbai, so commercial arbitration point of view, Bombay is having a little edge over Delhi. Again, with the Bombay solicitor focusing on the arbitration much more comparatively with their Delhi counterparts. Barring a handful, few Delhi still proceeds on the weekly litigation and weekly end arbitration. Apart from that,
I'm not getting my answer. I'm not getting my answer, Adarsh. I mean, yes. let me ask the question to Aaron. Aaron, is aggression required in lawyering? And if aggression is required in lawyering, who do you think are more aggressive, Delhi or Mumbai? Which lawyers are more aggressive?
I think aggression, which means drive, the need and the passion to get your client a certain result, is definitely one of the most important characters of a good lawyer. It does not mean anger, shouting, being rude. It means the passion to get to a certain result and to break down the barriers to battle the system to get to that result. When it comes to that, I feel certainly Delhi, which the basis is litigation and the Supreme Court, and the biggest cases in the country do end up in Delhi. So I certainly see Delhi lawyers having that edge when it comes to aggression. But I like what Adarsh said. I think when it comes to pure legal quality, having the system of solicitors in Bombay and also, of course, in Calcutta, that does make a difference. It's a very rigorous exam, which has, of course, and I mean, that has built in a certain amount of quality. Knowledge, intellect, experience through the articleship system which existed in cities like Bombay going back, I would say, over 100 years. And that has given Bombay the edge when it comes to pure legal knowledge and quality.
Awesome. Wonderful. Navneet, over to you.
Over to me. Okay, great. So, Shruhita, 15% of the lawyers in India are women. The number of women lawyers in USA is 40%, Spain 43%, UK 52%, France 55%, and 60% in Italy. What's up with the women of India that they don't want to become lawyers? And generally speaking, it's said that women are more honest and more hardworking than men. And you think this is one of the things that's wrong with the Indian legal system, that 85% of it is male lawyers?
Okay, so one comment, I'm pretty sure in every profession the ratio would be same, because generally in India, women are not, the percentage of women working generally is lesser. So, you've picked up law, of course, great, 85% for men, great, kudos. But I think this is something that's pan-India because of, whatever, women are just coming up, right? It's the era of women, I still feel. And women are doing some great work in the legal fraternity, along with other fraternities. I don't think it's anything that the profession has done that is stopping from women to rise. In fact, most of the law firms that I've worked in, 80% of the strength has been women. Yes, litigation, maybe because it's more cutthroat, requires a little more of running around, being on your foot. Men sort of take dominance there. But in a lot of law firms, you see there are so many women. I've worked in 2 law firms that have been headed by women managing partners. So yes, I mean, statistically, it does seem a little small. But again, like I said, that's unfortunately the state of the country in maybe every profession. You may pull out statistics for like any profession. It's just that is the gender ratio and it's the inequality that we're still facing. I feel so. So I don't think that women are doing anything wrong, which is why they've not been able to make a mark in the legal fraternity. They made a great mark. That's my take on that.
So Shruita, I don't know when I'm going to meet a woman lawyer in India that's worked both in India, both in Mumbai and Delhi. So I have to ask you a question that nobody will want to ask. What cities' male lawyers did you feel a little more uncomfortable with, Delhi's or Mumbai's?
I've worked more in Delhi, so I'm going to say Delhi. But I've not felt uncomfortable as such. Everybody has been very nice to me. Any approaches that have been there have also been very decent and, gentlemanly. So I wouldn't say anybody's made me uncomfortable in the field as such. But I feel like there I would give credit to Mumbai. It's probably one of the safest city to be in. So as compared to Delhi, yes, Mumbai would take the cake there. So it's not the lawyers that would have made me feel uncomfortable. Generally, as a city, Delhi NCR is a little unsafe for women. But no, I've not felt uncomfortable as such.
Wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
So which city has lawyers with more guts? Does anybody want to answer that so I can ask the next question? CJ, you think Mumbai lawyers have more guts, right?
I believe for having an expressing guts, you need to be very honest. A man who is not honest cannot show guts. That's my experience and feeling. And I have seen gutful lawyers, very few in all the cities in India. I do not see any ups and downs.
So CJ, in 1950, when Ambedkar was writing the Constitution, he didn't want to put a special provision for the Dalits. He was a Dalit himself, but he felt that the Constitution, Article 14 says everybody is equal protection, and he didn't want to carve out a special provision for the Dalits. But of course, all constitutions around the world have a provision to violate itself and say, okay, for a few years, for a few months, special people will get special provision. And Ambedkar finally conceded to the rest of the gang and said, okay, fine, we'll put special provisions for the Dalits. But that law was supposed to sunset in 1960, and 60 years have gone by. It's clear that no politician in India for the next 500 years will have the courage to fix it and abide by the Constitution that all human beings are equal, which means all it's going to take is one gutsy lawyer and a few Supreme Court justices to say, hey, wait a minute, the Constitution says everybody's equal. And now 50% of the country has become Dalit. And now the majority is being discriminated against. So you think there's a Mumbai lawyer who will file a petition and not give up to let the sunset of 1960 happen in 2023?
The failure of reservation system is that even after 75 years of independence, there is nobody there to stand up and say that I'm no more a backward community, I'm no more a backward caste. Nobody has grown up to say that. The day somebody says, yes, I have enjoyed enough of reservation, I've grown up, then only it's going to take place. Who am I to decide that they do not deserve reservation? They should come forward and say, yes, my last 2 generations enjoyed reservation. We don't need reservation. Give it to the needy. That kind of mindset should come. And more than guts, it's more of righteousness.
Right, but whether it's the beneficiary getting the rewards or the other side, the fact that it's a violation of the Constitution and it's supposed to sunset in 1960. And for 65 years, 1.4 billion people are being subjected to a violation of the Constitution on its very foundation. That what kind of society do we have where human beings are not being treated equal by the government? So why doesn't any lawyer file a petition and not give up?
No lawyer from any other community can come forward to do that. That will
Why
be,
not? Why can't you do it?
I will never do it.
Okay.
I will never do it.
You think Indian Lawyers Association should do it?
It's not that I do not have the guts. I do not find it right to do. That's the
Because
reason.
you feel like you're taking something away from someone, where you
Yes.
know that ultimately it's in their benefit also to have a country where everybody is treated equal.
I feel that even in their community, the deserving are not getting the benefits of this. Because the persons who have enjoyed it, they amass the things. They don't let they don't allow the others of their community to take a share from what they got.
Navneet, if I could quickly come in, if I may. Yeah. So I think the Dalits is possibly one example where, I mean, it's a controversial topic, but when you look at certain other areas, Delhi lawyers, MC Mehta, which is based out of Delhi, has done pioneering work when it comes to environmental laws. His public interest litigation set the environmental laws in our country. Bombay lawyers have led public interest litigations when it comes to the CRZ regulations and development control. Of course, lawyers out of Gujarat have done fantastic work when it comes to Narmada Bachao and some of the other agitations. So I think lawyers from each part of the country, depending upon the fields, have taken actions, and we have certainly have had gutsy lawyers from emerging from Delhi, Mumbai, and different parts of the country.
Okay, Gurmeet, Mumbai gives up. Are you willing to file a petition in Supreme Court to do what was supposed to happen 60 years ago? So can we have a country of 1.4 billion people where when a child is born, an innocent little 3-kilogram child who doesn't know where he or she is born, and the government comes in and brands them and tattoos them, Dalit or non-Dalit? Can we have a country where everybody is treated equal for the rest of their life?
See, I do appreciate your question, but at the same time, this is not the only question. There are many modes. I give you a perfect example. I think when you talk about Dalit and the reservation one, I think the key concept which we are missing is the creamy layer. Creamy layer is a concept which is actually killing, because I have seen people who are doing very well, who are actually millionaires, having a great lifestyle, but still want their kid to go to a best of the school free of cost. They want reservation. They just want, okay, I have become judge. I want the same thing should be passed to my son. He should be go through the engineering, best of the engineering college like IIT.
Well, can you blame them? Can you blame them if I show up to you and say, hey, Gurmeet, I found this $1 million, $1 million rupees on the street, you can have it? You can't blame somebody from taking a benefit, but as a society, every human being has a duty to fix the country, right? So it doesn't matter who the beneficiary is or who's giving the benefit. The lawyers have a duty to take care of the 1.4 billion people. So do the judges and courts. Politicians are not going to fix it. We know that. So all it's going to take is somebody, hopefully one of the board members of one of the ILA chapters or ILA, to take the lead and not give up. We have to stop this nonsense of dividing up people. Lalu Prasad Yadav, or whatever, Lalu Prasad's daughter, can't be going to medical school on reservation quota, right? And so all we're looking for is one lawyer. Where are we going to find one?
See, presently, I'm not interested in such litigation. But if you ask me whether that will be a right kind of litigation, according to me, by my heart, I say yes. It is a right kind of litigation, but then probably there are so many questions. That's where I have raised since inception. Probably when you don't even have the freedom to say what is right, And now you are going to the second question to see how the society is behaving or living. I think the fundamental question is probably, if you see our legal practice, legal pronouncements, probably, let's be very candid with you. When we are all, legal mind, we can always see the judgments. We can always see, what's coming in the newspaper. And we know every day we read the newspaper and we know this is wrong. It cannot be. It is illegal. But still, we are keeping mum. We are not saying anything about that one. So there's so many questions. But yes, I do support you.
Okay, at
I
least we
want to
got
come
one
in here.
supporter.
Yeah, so you know what? Let's go to Shaurya. Shaurya, lawyers in Delhi or Mumbai are too busy, right? Too busy to make money. Mostly about sport money, right? They hardly find time for social or pro bono cases or PILs. What should we do? People like lawyers, let's say like you, like Aaron, like others on the panel, find time for society and not just be busy in their work and in their own success.
Okay. So, like Aaron said, that it's not like that lawyers are not doing their pro bono work. MC Mehta is a living example.
There are very few. There are very few. How can we
Yeah,
add
there are
more to
very
them?
few because see, yeah, I do understand there are very few, and the reasons are very obvious. Like we are discussing here about the reservation and creamy layer and Dalit thing, but like Gurmeet also said, this is not a single question. It's a Pandora box. If we touch it, they are going to have a lot of issues. We have seen it in the Kisan Andolan as well. I do not know how many Kisans have read all those laws and all those things, but government has to repeal it. There are certain good factors, good pointers, good laws as well in those Kisan laws, but government has to withdraw it, has to repeal it. Because this is how Indian society works. And if you ask me to go ahead to file a PIL or something, I'm not a litigator. I'm mostly into strategizing things, but I do support all those work. And we have done pro bono work. We are associated with certain NGOs and provide our fee consultancy as well. And being in Delhi, there are so many national forums which are only in Delhi. So lawyers have their part to do in that. But if you ask me that which lawyer and why lawyers are not very much considerate in filing the PILs or something, it's a very niche area because ultimately lawyers, as being a professional, being into lawyer profession, we have to take care of our family, bread and butter, and all those things as well. So, for me, it's a corporate thing. I'm very much into real estate, FEMA, and advising my foreign clients. So I do not get time to do the pro bono work, but whenever, whatever time I will have, if somebody comes to me and like my personal thing, I'm associated with some people and take this thing forward, and which I believe all of us would be doing in some way or other. This is my take, personally.
Sure. Jenna, when Shruita mentioned that Delhi perhaps is more Cosmo than Mumbai, there was a different caricature you made. What's your experience on Delhi versus Mumbai when it comes to culture and being more Cosmo?
So I have to preface my answer by saying that I'm a Bombay girl through and through. I'm born here. This is my home. And I have always grown up believing and seeing around me that Bombay has been the most cosmopolitan city I've ever seen. So yes, I get Shruita's point, because there are times when in the law firm, in our lunch tables or whatever, sometimes we start discussing in Marathi. But in my own experience, it's been very less. Mostly we are all speaking in either Hindi or English. So I don't particularly agree that Delhi is more cosmopolitan than Bombay, because here we attract people from all over the country, similar to Delhi. But like many of you are mentioning, we have a lot more robust corporate practice and so on. So number one is, yes, I do think Bombay is more cosmopolitan in that sense. It's also, I think you mentioned that Delhi is more accepting, Shruita, which may be. But I have not felt it. I'll be honest with you. I've always felt more comfortable and more accepted in Bombay, and just less societal judgment. People are like, do what you want. I'm just bothered about my work, and that's it. So I think that also translates to the way lawyers work with each other. We're more bothered about the transaction or the role that we are dealing with each other, and then we're all in our own places. So
Sure, sure. Aaron, I have one question, and I want 100% honesty in the answer. If you swear that you're gonna give me an honest answer, I would ask it to you.
Sure, go for it.
All right, all right. You know what? There are a lot of senior advocates, okay, in Delhi, in Mumbai. Like there's a layer of senior advocates. Most cases go to them. The most high-profile cases go to senior advocates, and it is being talked. The senior advocates do not let the junior advocates come up. There's a barrier that they've created, and juniors are not able to get those high-profile cases because they would be the vultures and take all the high-profile cases, whether in Delhi or Mumbai. What's your take on that?
So in the end, the advocate on record and the client pick who the counsel is going to be it a senior advocate, mid-level, or a junior. So it's not really in terms of, being a vulture or them pulling in the cases. The question of who you choose to go to. Now, if the case is big enough, and most cases which go up in appeal, in the appellate stage or up to the Supreme Court, we're looking at the big cases, which have gone past the first stage. And you do not want to take a risk, okay? You cannot risk, if you are the advocate on record, you cannot take a risk on behalf of the client. And most clients, if they're willing to go to the Supreme Court, they're willing to pick up the budgets to give it their best shot. Now, the only way to do that is to de-risk it for the client, is to go to a senior advocate. If you're going to a mid-level or a junior, there is an element of risk, okay? You do not want a finger pointed to the advocate on record saying that you went to someone too junior for the role. So in which case, that's the reason you would go to a senior counsel for most cases going up in appeal.
No, my question is, senior advocates don't perhaps, what I heard, don't perhaps let the junior ones come up. They would not let them argue the important cases. They would not give you chance or opportunity to, they can give opportunity to their subordinates and let them argue in the court when they know that some junior advocate is actually good. They have some face value. They can go and argue well. Do you think senior advocates are not giving chance to their subordinates to become better and become senior advocates?
But Amit, why are you asking Aaron this question? Because the government is violating Article 14, 15, 16 that says there will be no discrimination of any sort, and picking up some lawyers and branding them senior advocates. That's a violation of the Constitution. Because some people were given this wonderful power, then they're going to abuse it. Now you're wondering why are they not letting junior advocates be growing up? What is the government doing? Discriminating against 1.35 million lawyers and picking a few hundred and calling them senior advocates. The courts of all that are supposed to enforce that there is no violation of Article 14, 15, 16 are themselves violating the article. Who gives them the right to discriminate? What have these guys done to be called senior advocates? Why can't they let the market function? Mark Zuckerberg was 18 years old when he started Facebook. If he was an advocate in the Indian system, he'd be a junior advocate for the next 40 years. And some 55-year-old white-haired guy would be given Facebook to start. So what about the first violation? Why don't we address that?
What's happening in the US, Navneet? So there is no designation by the court to the US lawyers?
Are you kidding? You think any court, if that they do this discrimination, you think a higher court would allow that for 1 minute? How dare a lower court or any court say anything about a lawyer? Anything, good or bad.
Anubhav, what's your take on it? Why is this discrimination?
I think Navneet is very biased in his opinion about India, and he's painting a picture of 1960, if you ask me, right? So I'll answer. I have few views which I wanted to share. One, he touched upon the Dalit issue, right? Dalit issue was carved out way back when the constitution was being written, right? And there's nothing wrong even now in having such provision in our constitution, because India as a country has different shades of development all across, right? And there are people in the country who need development and who need access to education and to come up and have the same opportunity to compete with the urban population, right? So I don't think the provisions are wrong per se to have them in the constitution, and it is not discrimination. We call it as affirmative actions, right? And these have to be there to promote if your country has such a fabric. It is very easy to sit at a distance and then make views about what media says, right? Even I can point fingers where I think the Indians were pushed out of the economy in US, and now what the US government is doing is just few lip service towards that, right? What about the state discriminations that are there in the US? One state is not allowed to, a lawyer in one state is allowed to practice in the other state, and he has to seek permission. So there are discrimination or differentiations, as I would call it, in different shades in different countries. I think that's not what we are here to debate about, right? So I don't agree with Navneet's view, because I think the question here is how much is good, right? Do you have a reservation of 50%, or what is the optimum level in which your reservation should be there and for whom it should be there? I think that's the question that we should be debating, and that's the right question that should be asked as well, right? So those are my views on the reservation, and I think socially, it is not discrimination, right? You asked about pro bono. Yes, lawyers are doing their bit on the pro bono side if the opportunity presents, right? There are free aid legal services in different courts, and those are also being promoted. And there is recently a lot of activism on the consumer side of things as well, which is what affects the common man here in this country, right? So there are a lot of steps now being taken, right? So, for example, the Delhi High Court itself passed the order that the commercial courts should be set up in Delhi to resolve the disputes. I think resolving the pendency of the suits is one of the top prime agenda for the government at this point of time. So I don't think we don't recognize the issues, but it is just it is the way in which we are dealing with those issues is different from if you compare it with other countries, right? And that's what I think. I think comparison with someone which cannot be compared. I have my own views about the whole controversy of Roe versus Wade, which has been there in US. We went back into 1970s with that turning of the law. But Navneet, I'm not asking you why the country did that, right? So I have certain views about this, and those are this. So as far as your question, on the guts of the lawyers are concerned, on the lighter side, I think wherever the litigation is on the Dalits, it will end up in the Supreme Court, which is Delhi. So it will ultimately be the Delhi lawyers who will be dealing with that, along with the Bombay lawyers. So that is where I think Delhi has the advantage of having the Supreme Court, where all the constitutional matters will rest, right? So to that extent, I think Delhi takes the cake. That these matters related to Dalit and constitution will end up in Delhi.
So probably you say game, set, and match Delhi.
Yeah.
So Jenna,
Yes.
do you agree that delayed justice is no justice at all?
Of course, I agree that delayed justice is no justice at all, because I have been a legal counsel, much like Anubhav. Of course, he's been a legal counsel far longer than what I have been. And I have, as a legal counsel, you're also a litigant, in the sense that you are a litigant for the court system. And it is quite frustrating when you don't get, I filed matters in 2013, it's just gone, died, don't know what's happening. especially in COVID. So of course, delayed justice is no justice at all.
So the question I have is, I read an article 3 months ago that somebody filed for divorce 25 years ago, and the judge granted him divorce. He was married for 3 months. During the honeymoon, his wife got arrested because she was a thief. And then he filed for divorce, and the divorce happened 25 years later. And the judge said, I'm sorry it took so long. But everybody is at fault, is what the judge said. Now, in Denmark, if you go to the court and you file a petition, the court clerk gives it back to you with a date of trial, which is 90 days from the date you file the petition. Several countries around the world, there are laws that a case must be dismissed, will be dismissed after so many years if it's not finished, in favor of the defendant. Now, I did some research, and the oldest case in India is from when your great-great-great-great-grandfather was alive, which is 1878, a property dispute in Varanasi. And when I told this to someone else in India, he's told me, well, in reality, the oldest case is even older than that. It's 245 years old. But during the partition, 90% of the land was in Bangladesh. So India said, okay, Bangladesh, you handle it. So the oldest case in India is 144 years old. So which you said there is no justice if there is delayed justice. So if you were made law minister of India for one day and you could only do one thing to fix the pendency of 36 million pending cases in India, what would you do?
I mean, okay, I would do two things. I'm sorry, I'm going to take one extra liberty. The first thing I would do is I would ban all adjournments, because from 2013 to 2018, the matter that I was talking about went only in adjournments. And this is with no disrespect to Delhi lawyers, but my other side was a Delhi lawyer. And they were really creative in coming up with adjournments. So the first thing I would do across the board is ban all adjournments. The second thing I would do is enforce attendance of judges, lawyers, and all the other sort of support stuff, because one day judges are not there. I mean, sometimes you fall sick and all, it's okay. But I get only one day, to be the law minister. So everybody has to come on that day. And the court staff and everyone. So I would enforce attendance and I would make them sit and I would say that chalo kaam karo abhi.
So Jenna, since you seem to have a little more brains than most of our former law ministers, why don't we make it a mission? Because you have to make change in life, right? It's only one life to live. I believe that life is pretty useless. The earth is 4.5 billion years old. Human beings are only 300,000 years old. There was no agriculture till about 12,000 years. 108 billion people have lived and died. And if I give you a piece of paper and a pen and say, hey, write down the names of all the people you know, starting with Amitabh Bachchan to Priyanka Chopra to your family, you can't write down more than 500 names. Most of the people in this planet don't know their great-grandparents' name, 8 of them. You don't know one of them, which means your child's grandkids will not know your name, Jenna. That's how useless life is. So whatever one life has been given to us, why I feel there's only one duty in life, to leave this place a little better than what it was when we arrived here. So we're looking for some champions to bring about some change. So let's say in the next 10 years, we would like at least for one day a law minister that has your brains, and a few days of no adjournment will make a big dent in these 36 million pending cases, because it's a ripple effect, right? So can we take a piece of paper and write down the 50 things we have to do collectively, the educated ILA crowd of the 1.4 million lawyers in India? What do we have to collectively do, including raising money starting today, to make Jenna Krishnan the law minister of India in 2032?
Are you asking me what we have to do?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, are you willing to take up this battle and we'll support
you? The first thing is, I have absolutely no interest in being the law minister. Let me tell you that. What I do have an interest is, and is working with everyone, all of us over here, and actually, maybe create some kind of cohesive network where we can actually influence either the judiciary or the legislature in, because I believe that there is an increasing trend towards reduced adjournments. And someone was talking about this in your panel with in the Chennai versus Bangalore, because I heard that panel, and I think it was Bharat who spoke about the commercial court system and how adjournments are not being granted and so on. So I believe there is an increasing shift. But yes, on a serious note, yes, I'm more than happy to work together. That was one of the things that I started TDL for. But I do not want to become the law minister. I'm very happy that you think I'm a very good candidate, but I would like to pass this on to somebody else.
Yeah, because we have a rule in India. The government of India outside its Ashoka, whatever, has a sign that says no good people are allowed to work in this government, right?
Oh yeah, I think that's a bit harsh, no? I think if there were no good people, we wouldn't have been where we are. We do have good people. I think that's a bit harsh.
I'm told India grows at night when the government is sleeping.
I mean, that's also harsh, but I'll let somebody else speak.
As lawyers, it's our first and foremost duty to be never happy with what's going on and to be harsh, because we have to take care of 1.4 billion people.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's an attitude in the sense that not to be happy, but actually take up the cause. But like a lot of people also mentioned here on the panel, that it's a lot more complicated than just saying that, yes, I'm going to take it up. And
do you have anyone in your family who's a politician?
No.
You see, somebody once told me that you have to be from the wrong side of the law to enter politics. And everybody I meet, and maybe everybody on the call, anybody's family in politics? What's going on? Who is in politics? How about 50% of the people in the parliament have a criminal indictment? Is that?
Navneet, what do you think about Indian politics? What's your view right now?
What
of
would
the
I say
current
about
government?
Indian?
Yeah, let us hear that, no?
About
what's your views on the Indian politics at this point for the current government?
Well, I think the current government has done a lot of great work, no question about it. But I think we could be a bit more secular and focus less on religion and more on business. I think we should be focusing more on going to Mars and going to the moon and creating jobs. I'm told there's 600 million people that need an employment in India, and 400 million are fully employed, and 200 million people are missing from the employment roles. I think we should be focusing more on that than on building statues and temples. But I have many bigger issues than that. I think the biggest issue with Indian politics, in my mind, is there's too much power in one city. We're too large of a country with too many people, and the local districts and the cities and the states should have more power. And the person down on the street should have more power to live their life, and not the power be in Delhi.
So you acknowledge the government is doing a good job, so there will be good people there who are applying their mind, right? And you also ended saying that India is a large country with lot of complexities. How do you, if you were the law minister, what would?
First thing I would do is there's 9 million pending criminal cases. 99% of criminal cases in the rest of the world get settled by plea bargaining. In India, it's 1%. 36 million pending cases. Half of them, the government is either the plaintiff or the defendant. I think there should be 29 Supreme Courts. I'm told there's only 21,000 judges. There should be 70,000 judges. Then I'm told there's no money for that. Then I find out there's plenty of money. 360 million was allocated to the judiciary department to run the courts. $180 million was not spent. The government is paying endless money to retired IAS officers, IPS officers, Air Force, Army, Navy officers. They're 55, 56, 58. They're going to live another 30 years. have them handle the divorces, have them handle some of the consumer actions. Why are the courts closed in August? 36 million pending cases is emergency, which means the court should operate 24 hours a day, should operate electronically, should be open on weekends, and extra judges should be hired. Justice must happen within a year and a half. If a trial does not happen within a year and a half or a year or 2 years, that's no good. It affects the economy of the country. It affects the GDP. Why is every rich person's child running away to foreign country to college in other countries? What is wrong with India? 2,700 years ago, we had the best university in the country. From year 1 to 1750, we were the richest country in the planet. And now we have 5% of the world's GDP and 17% of the world's population. $1 trillion a month is being stolen from India. The single largest reason is because we have a third-rate judicial system. And you know that better than anyone else, Anubhav.
Navneet, it is easy I think, let me address one by one all on the criminal judicial system. Do you know any country which operates 24 hours?
No country has 1.4 billion people and 36 million pending cases. If
Correct.
I'm the law minister, I would have judicial offices open 24 hours. Fix the darn thing. It's not that difficult.
It is difficult, Navneet. It is, the reason for difficulty is the courts are for the litigants. The target is not to solve the cases left, right, center without justice being delivered. Right? The end of the judicial system is to deliver justice, and justice has to be delivered in a manner which makes the litigants also kind of feel or perceive that the justice is really delivered. Imagine a court which
Anubhav, most litigants in India are dead by the time they get justice. You know that, right?
You are now journalizing, right? When it comes to a Delhi, Bombay, of course, I was not for this debate, but for as you compared, see, it is not same for everywhere. You got some land cases which have been controversial and going on for a number of years, right? But there are also commercial cases, say, for example, which gets resolved as per the world's best benchmarks in the country. I don't think you are considering that at all, right? There are also very active cases in the country or courts in the country which have been delivering very leading judgments in the recent times. I think you are not considering that. I think any change takes time. Right, and sitting at a distance and making an observation about what's wrong with the country is very easy. So to that extent, Navneet, I'm in disagreement with your views because I think what we are doing what suits our country the best. I think there are areas of improvement, and it will take time for us to reach there. But the way we will reach there will be the best in the interest of our country, right? So I think you pointed out the criminal justice systems, right? Now, yes, there are a lot of criminal cases pending, right? But then in the COVID times, we were the first. Imagine we could not get into an electronic system, but overnight, I think within the shortest period of time, the court did move to an electronic system, and still the hybrid systems are going on. You quoted the number of courts, right? You are well aware that India has a different maturity in terms of reach of network, right? So for still all the courts in India tried doing that, right? And the leading courts did switch to that. And so I think their solutions are being created. It's just the complexity and the size of the country, right? And the population we are dealing with. It will take time for any change to come in. So rather than cribbing, I think the focus should be in terms of what is that we can do to make the change, rather than cribbing about or complaining about what's wrong in the country, which I feel it is very easy when people are sitting outside the country
No, I think
and then
this
making
topic
observation
is
based on
going
media
in.
report. Yeah, yeah.
So this discussion is going in a different
I
direction.
wouldn't
So let me
take any
ask.
offense for the law ministers.
Yeah.
I think the law
So
ministers are very capable and competent, right? So please do not make any indications on any of the ministers here, right? And also what we are doing is in the best interest of the country. There may be
well,
certain things to improve, but no criticism, boss.
so Anubhav, a couple of points. I may be sitting far away physically, but my heart and mind and body and soul never left Nagpur, which I left 40 years ago. And it's 11:30 at night on a Friday night, and my family is gone out partying to a wedding, and I am sitting at home alone with my dog attending Indian Lawyers Association event. And you're saying don't crib, but I think one of the purposes of ILA was so that we can crib. You were saying a change is happening. We want to make sure the change happens and it happens faster. We're not okay with the government of India appointing a law minister and then asking that person to, hey, we have 36 million pending cases. We have 1.4 billion people. We have 60,000 pending cases in Supreme Court. The oldest case is from 1878. But don't worry about any of that. Can you please also handle the IT ministry? And I read that and I cribbed for 5 years. Like if I was a person given both of these portfolios, I would have touched somebody's feet and said, hey, there's 1.4 billion people in this country. There's 1.4 million lawyers. Find somebody else. We don't need one law minister. We need 36,000 law ministers. But anyways, Anubhav, the biggest issue is
Navneet, that won't solve the problem, right? Appointing
but it shows
36,000 law
mindset.
ministers.
It shows
It's
mindset.
not the mindset.
It
the
shows the mindset
process.
of the government,
guys,
how much they care about law.
Let me
I don't think
barge
so,
in here.
Navneet.
Let me just come in here. So Navneet, all Navneet is trying to say is we need to do more and a lot more. And Anubhav is saying we are doing a lot and we're doing it as per the country's complexities and everything else. So both of you are saying the same thing. We are doing something, but a lot more is required. I would like to request, let's say Jenna here. You've seen some debates happening between Navneet, Anubhav, everybody else. What's your take? Are we doing enough?
I think we can do a lot more, especially when it comes to the judicial delay. And I'm saying that because I have been personally affected as a litigant. Let me say that. At the same time, I don't really, it's not a black and white thing like Navneet is saying. It's not that difficult. It's simple. I don't believe it's simple because it was simple. We have very, very capable people in our country, and they would have found the solution by now. So it's definitely not simple. Now, coming back to what you said, because you actually made a correct point. You said basically we have to all focus on what we can do now instead of debating on what is wrong, because ultimately we all seem to have our heart in the right place. We want to we are proud of our country, and but we want to be part of something that makes it better. So I think we can all work together. If there's one issue that I definitely want to work with whoever it is that would be willing to work with me is to address the judicial delay in our country. I think one of the ways that we can do it is reduce the amount of litigations that is filed itself, because people just go and file litigations. If we can reduce the amount of litigations that are filed, the new litigations that are filed. So one of the ways that I think we are doing it is encouraging mediation or encouraging alternate dispute resolution forums. But also I think if we give more information to the general public about what are their rights, and they may make better decisions in their own lives so that they reduce the amount of disputes. So one thing that I think we can all do as lawyers is to work together with each other and with the community to reduce disputes. The second thing is, and then, stop people from filing litigation, because today we are filing litigation to threaten people. We have all done it. Like, if you don't do this, I'll file, because we can harass somebody to kingdom come within our justice system, and force them to sort of come to the terms that we want. So that's my answer.
Great. Awesome.
Amit, can I add one thing here?
Yes,
I
Adarsh.
heard so many debate on the pendency of the cases. As far as arbitration is concerned, gone are the days when the arbitration used to happen in 7 to 8 years, 10 years, 15 years. After 2015 and 2018 Amendment Act, the arbitration has mandated to finish in a 1 year and additional 6 months with the consent of both parties, claimant and the respondent. So that is what it is going on an improvement side. And apart from that, as Jenna was saying, that there are so many alternate dispute resolution mechanism, mediation and all, which will definitely reduce the pendency of the cases, and it will lessen the burden of the litigation. If most of the commercial matters, directly commercial suit is not taking place. It has to mandatory go through first mediation and arbitration, and then somebody challenge, then it go into the litigation. So that will reduce the pendency of the cases.
So Adarsh, why is it that every contract I review between two Indian companies or an Indian company and a foreign company, the dispute resolution is not in India, it's in Singapore or Hong Kong or London? We don't trust the Indian dispute resolution system?
So I will come to that point, sir. Navneet, India is going to be next arbitration hub. Gone are the days when every arbitration used to take place in the France, London, Singapore, SIAC, LCIA, or ICC arbitration. But in the past 3-4 years, most of the arbitration is going to take institutional arbitration, like MCIA, Mumbai Center of International Arbitration, is doing fantastic. And India is moving towards from ad hoc arbitration to the institutional arbitration, which is fair, transparent, and very, I would say, systematic also. So that is why you are right. Earlier, it was mostly in the London, Singapore, France, but now most of the arbitration taking place in India as well. As far as my information, I don't have exact data, how much is still going into the SIAC and other places, but India
Anubhav, is that true? Anubhav, is that true? Is more happening in India now?
Navneet, again, I think your views are quite biased, right? You're talking about things that were 10 years ago on alternate dispute resolution, right? The recent changes in the arbitration has really improved a lot of things, right? And it is changing, right? We are now getting more and more awareness. The litigants are getting more and more awareness about the advantages of alternate dispute resolutions. The courts are trying their best to kind of refer matters to the alternate dispute resolutions. And a lot of Indian companies, at least in their Indian contracts, are having Indian arbitration clauses, right? I don't know what contracts you refer to, but 90% of our contracts which have both the parties in India have the Indian arbitration clause, right? It's only when one of the party is a foreign party, then there's this whole debate of choosing something which is outside India, right? So I think my take on the ADRs is that there's a lot of awareness now on the ADR systems. Things are improving and changing, and there is even now debates that why advocates and lawyers cannot be part of the arbitration panels for removing for quick resolution of the cases and delivering the justice, or at least solving the commercial dispute side of things. So I think I would agree with my co-panelists that after the amendments, and they were not too far away in time, things are changing and improving quite a bit.
Shaurya, you work a lot with Japanese companies. What do you find when you deal with the companies of Japan? What is the preferred dispute resolution?
Okay, so like Anubhav has said, that if both the parties to an agreement in India, we generally have the venue of arbitration in India, and it is to be governed by Indian arbitration laws. But when we have a Japanese party, and that to a dominating Japanese party, which would be supplying something or which would be buying a stake or something, then obviously we generally have the Singapore arbitration laws, and the seat of arbitration would be Singapore. But it depends upon contract to contract. But when both the parties or all the parties to a contract are Indian, I would say that most of that in 100% of my contracts, I would have said that Indian arbitration laws, Indian value.
And so when you do a contract between Indian companies or Indian parties, it's never left up to the courts. You always put arbitration.
See, if you ask me, it also depends. I might have a different opinion here. For general contracts, I do not put arbitration or mediation clauses these days for last 2 and 3 years. Because to me, it is very time consuming, expensive. And again, when arbitration award is there, then you can challenge it. So for general contracts, when the stakes are not high, general vendors, suppliers, and regular contracts, I do not put any arbitration clause at all in my contract. But when transactions are happening, some stakes are there, big companies are involved, and something bigger is happening, then obviously arbitration clause would be there, because then it suits the parties, it serves the purpose, and it saves the cost on the litigation part directly approaching to the court.
Here I would add, here I would like to add, sorry, I slightly disagree with you that every arbitration award is being challenged, because nowadays arbitration has become so strong to lessen the burden of the court, so that you cannot challenge the arbitration award on the merit basis. Of course, there are section 34, 33 where you can challenge in a different ground, not directly on the merit basis. That is number one point. And the point number two is that, of course, if one party is a government party, they have some fear of CAG, CBI, and all these things, ED and all. So they will go up to the highest level, Supreme Court. Even they will not stop up to the award of the High Court also. So that is a different story. But if two parties are the private party, then they do respect the arbitration award. So that's my experience. And that is definitely very effective in that way to lessen the burden of the court.
Yeah, I would not say that arbitration is not effective, but I'm just saying that people, being lawyers, we tend to provide our clients the best of facilities and use the Section 34 in whatever way we can do, and just to delay the things. So that's why for general contracts, for my personal experience, I do not put arbitration clause these days. But for all the bigger things, yes, arbitration clause would be there, and I'm very happy with the arbitration and mediation centers as well. And the people are doing a fantastic job in arbitration as well. I do promote in arbitration. I appear for arbitration things, but for general simple contracts, yes, I would not.
Okay, Amit, can I just say something on this?
Sure, Gurmeet. We only have 2 minutes to go. So you have your last minute to talk.
Okay. Amit, I think the whole discussion is going on, on the system and this one. So probably first and the foremost, being handling those litigation and arbitration, you have the law. You have the amendment in the new Arbitration Act, which is very stringent. You have even the IBC, you have even the negotiable instrument, which is all time-bound things. The only things which as a litigant or as a counsel, I want to cut down is the discretion of the court. It's good enough you have arbitration cases. Most of the times the arbitrator try to finish the case in the stipulated time. They always endeavor to do that. But at the same time, 34 is not a problem. Most of the time, what happens is that generally they go to a writ petition, and the court entertains those writ petitions. So probably by entertaining those writ petitions, they hampered that arbitration proceedings. And then probably bad name go to the arbitration. Another example I gave in the litigation part, most of the people don't know if you have the CPC. The CPC has been well studied. The best part of the CPC has been taken under the Commercial Court Act. All these best provision has been taken up. Generally, what used to happen that you have to file the case and then you do the evidence, and it will go on and on and on. Probably in the Commercial Court Act, there is a provision of the summary judgment. So probably even if you are not handling with the bill of lading and other cases, you can still go for the summary judgment. Because if there is nothing in the case, you can't, the court cannot allow, or you can't be allowed to have this case for another 3 to 5 years. You can file an application for the summary judgment and get the judgment. So things are moving in the right direction, but it will take some time.
Great. Thank you so much,
Amit,
Gurmeet.
here
Thank you
I
very
will
much.
just take 10 seconds to share one good information. Recently, I did one arbitration matter where one of the party was the foreign party, though the seat of arbitration was in Delhi only. So that is good thing. Basically, in ICC arbitration, if one party is a foreign party, then the seat of arbitration is in either London, France, or Singapore, what Navneet said. But recently, I did one matter where the seat of arbitration was in Delhi, despite the foreign party was the one party. So that is a good. India is improving.
Absolutely, absolutely. Guys, you know what? We can talk for next 5 days. 10, 15 lawyers talking. But you know what? I really want to thank all of you for your genuineness, for your honest answers, for your brave answers, and taking out time to discuss this hot topic. Because, unless we discuss these topics in detail, no action can be taken. So really appreciate you coming over this forum. We're going to invite you again for multiple such discussions. And it's not going to be just limited discussion. ILA has a vision to clear the backlog of the country, to bring the pendency of the cases to less than 1 year.
All of you, for your genuineness.
To bring the pendency of cases to less than 1 year. So that's a mission and the vision of the ILA, and we would need support from all of you to help us in the vision to bring the pendency of cases to less than 1 year. Thank you so much, everyone. We will contact all of you at different times for different requirements. Whenever we need any help, for achieving our vision and of giving justice in time. Thank you again so much. Appreciate your time and appreciate your input. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.